are going to start with the plant tissues. So firstly, let us do one activity. So what you have to do, take a plant stem and with the help of your teacher, cut into very thin slices or some sections. Again, now what you have to do, stain the slices with saffron. Then place one neatly cut section on a slide and cover it with the cover slip with the drop of glycerine. So you have to put some drop of glycerine on that slide, then cover it with the cover slip. So after that, what you will be observe, just put it under the microscope and try to observe it. So what you will observe? You will see something like this. You will see section something like this, and here if you will be observe to take single thing of this, you will be found there are different kinds of cells are present. As so the question is, are all the cells similar in structure? So you will be found that all the cells are not similar in structure. There are different kinds of cells present in one section. Like here you can observe the trichome. There are a lot of cells are present and all are the different types of cells. As earlier we were discussing about the tissues. So how are they formed? They are formed after the group of cells or cluster of cells which perform specific kind of function. So here again tissues can be of two types, simple tissues and complex, simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues. So you will be seeing that there are different kinds of tissues are present or different kinds of cells are present. So now what you have to see, how many types of cells you can be seen. So what you can see the trichome, mucilaginous canal, cuticle, epidermis, hypodermis, cortex, pericycle, phloem, cambium, medullary villi, xylem and pith. So these are the few cells in which you are not known about this time, but as we will start discussing on each and every tissues, you will be able to know that what are the work of these tissues and these cells. So if you see the structure, you can see the trichome. So actually it is a hair-like structure present upper part of the epidermis, and it is found in all the plants like cells, lichens, and there are many plants in which you can see this trichome. So it is a hair-like outgrowth, or it is also a filament-like structure. Then you can see the mucilaginous canal. So it helps to store food and water, and it is a thick gluey-like substance. Again it is a cuticle, so it is found upper part of the epidermis, and this is we can say it is a waxy-like, it provides a waxy-like appearance, or we can say that it is a protective covering of the epidermis. Now epidermis, again you will see under the epidermis there is hypodermis, then cortex are present, then pericycle is present. So what is there are pericycle, again phloem. So these are the, if you talk about phloem, xylem, so these are the conducting tissues which helps in the transportation of water and minerals. Like if I talk about xylem, so it helps in the transportation of water and minerals from roots to all parts of the body, whereas phloem are the tissues which these are the complex permanent tissues which are made up of different types of cells. So they help to conduct the food from leaves to all parts of the plant. Whereas you can also observe the cambium. So what is cambium? It is responsible for the secondary growth of the plant. Whereas if I talk about medullary vein, so it is present between the pith, and it helps to transport the substance between the xylem and phloem to the inner part of the plant to the outer part of the plant. So these are, again it is a pith. So this is a canal-like structure which helps to communicate between the cells. So these are the few tissues and cells you can observe under the microscope. If you take a stem or cut it into the section and wash it with water and place it on the slide and put some drops and what you have to do, you have to stain it with saffron. Then take it out and neatly try to put it on the slide. Then add few drops of glycerine and cover it with cover slip. So when will you observe it under the microscope, you will be found that all the cells are not similar in structure, there are different kinds of cells are present in groups or clusters, and you can see that there are different types of cells are present. Other than this, how would there be so many types of cells? So because why there are so many types of cells? Because all the cells have their own specific function. They perform specific kind of function in the cells. If you see the cellular level of organization, so cells are made up, cells forms the tissues, all the tissues again forms the organ, then organ system, then organism. So these tissues have their different role and their specific function. So this is about the section of stem. Now we are going to discuss about all parts of the tissues and what kind of tissues are present and what is their role and specific function in the plant. So in this section we are going to cover about the plant tissues. So students, now here we are also going to discuss about the epidermal cells, that is another simple permanent tissues. So students, as if you talk about ourselves, what is the skin? So skin is the largest organ of our body, and what is its role? So what we can say, skin is very important because it protects everything underneath from disease, temperature and different type of physical changes which occurs in our atmosphere. So our skin actually protects us from all these things, and that's why this is the largest organ of our body and found at every place. So much like skin in plants, also there is some tissue which protects the plant from these kind of various it protects the plants from various kind of diseases and other atmospheric changes. So these kind of cells are called the epidermal cells. So what is this epidermal cell? So let us start with one activity. What you have to do, take a freshly plucked leaf. So let us start with one activity. What you have to do, take a freshly plucked leaf or reo or tradescantia or any fleshy leaf. Now what you have to do, stretch and break it by applying any kind of pressure. But it shouldn't be very high. You have to apply a little much of pressure. Now while breaking it, keep it stretched gently so that some peel or skin projects out from the cut. Now what you have to do, remove this peel and put it in a petri dish filled with water. Now add a few drops of saffron in. Then wait for a couple of minutes as the stain can easily cover the whole surface, and then transfer it on the slide. Now gently press a cover slip over it. Then observe under a microscope. So you will be found the structure something like this. So here you can see epidermis. This structure is called the epidermal cells, and these are the guard cells. So actually both the cells are the epidermal cells. Here we are going to discuss about epidermal cells. So now what is so students, this is the outer layer of cells. Means if you cut a section of the stem, you will be found, as if you recall, I had earlier shown you the one picture of the cells section of stem. So that outer layer was the epidermis. Now this is the outer layer of cells made up of single layer of living cells. So here the cells will be the living cells and they will be the single layered cell. But if I talk about dry habitat, so here it can be little thicker. It means epidermis can be little thicker. Why? Because if you talk about dry habitat, what happens there is a very much temperature is very high, so loss of water will be very high. So because of that, there what happens, these epidermis becomes more thicker and they form a sponge like structure so that water loss cannot occur in that region. So the area where like dry habitat, the epidermis will be thicker in plants like cactus or many succulent trees. Here epidermal cell will be thicker. Otherwise it is a single layer cell. But in dry habitat, because it have to protect the loss of water, so it becomes more spongy and thicker. Now again, entire surface of plant has the outer covering of. So this covering, this epidermal cell, you will be found to the entire surface of plant, whether it is root, stem, leaf, flower, fruits. the whole part of the plant will be covered with the epidermal cells. Why? Because it is a protecting layer of the plant. It protects the plant from all the things as our skin protects us from different kinds of atmospheric changes, temperature, diseases. Same is in plant. Epidermal cells are like a skin of the plant and they protect us from all these atmospheric changes, diseases. That's why they are called the epidermal cells, and sometimes we also say surface tissue or protective tissue. Why surface tissue? Because it is the first layer of the plant and it is found on the surface of the plant. So these are, entire surface of plant has the outer covering, root, whether it is root, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. Other than this, no intercellular spaces and chloroplast. So where if I talk about epidermis, so here the cells will be arranged something like this. Means you can see that there are no space, means the cells will be tightly packed, densely packed cells will be present on the epidermal cells. And then again, outer surface exposed to the atmosphere and thickened. So why it should be thickened? Because as it is a first layer of the plant tissue, so it has to be exposed to the atmosphere. So it is exposed to the atmosphere. So because of that, it will be a thicker structure. It will protect the plant from different kind of diseases and other things. Now, covered by a waxy waterproof cuticle made up of cutin. Now what is cutin? So if I talk about epidermis, so upper part of the epidermis will be covered with the cuticle, and this is a waxy or greasy appearance which protect the plant from various kind of fungal diseases, bacterial diseases. So earlier in earlier section or stem of section, I had shown you about all the layers of the tissues like epidermis, hypodermis, cuticle. So what is cuticle? It is a waxy structure where it is a wax, like secretes a wax like appearance which protects a plant from different kind of diseases, fungal diseases and bacterial diseases. So now again here we were discussing about epidermal cells, where what we have seen that chloroplast was absent. But if I talk about stomata cells, so there are stomata which is also present in leaves and stem. So stomata present in epidermis of leaves and stem. As earlier we were discussing about other part of the plant where epidermal cells are present, but there chloroplast was absent. But where the stomata will be present, the chloroplast will also be present. So what is the role of stomata? Actually they absorb the carbon dioxide. They help in the exchange of gases from the atmosphere. So stomata is an opening bound, and this stomata's opening, what are these stomata? These are the pore-like structures. So these stomata's opening are bounded by the guard cells. So these guard cells differ from normal cells. They have chloroplast. So why are they differ from other epidermal cells? Because they have chloroplast present. So here we are discussing about epidermal cells. So what we have seen, if I talk about normal atmosphere, so epidermal cells will be of single layer and they have a living cells. Whereas if I talk about dry habitat, so where the plant will be present, its epidermis will be more thicker. Why? Because they are in the atmosphere where the temperature is very high. So what would happen if there will be the high temperature, so loss of water will also be very high. So because of that, where what happens, these epidermis forms the thicker layer and they form a spongy like appearance so that they can absorb the water from the plant and it will not be lost in the dry atmosphere. Other than this, what we have seen that epidermal cells have a chloroplast will be present, whereas we have also discussed about cuticle, that is a wax like appearance present upper surface of the epidermis. So what is its role? It protects the plant from various kinds of diseases and other things. Other than that, if you talk about cellular space, so intercellular space, there will be no intercellular space. Why? Because as it is a protective cover of the body, so if they will be dense and densely packed cells, so it can easily protect the plant from other atmospheric temperature and other diseases, fungal infection and all other things. Other than this, if I talk about stomata, so if you see the leaves, so as epidermis is present in all parts of the plant of the body, so they will also be present on leaves. So their stomata will also be present. So these stomata are the openings which help in the gaseous exchange from atmosphere. So as these cells are bounded by a guard cells, so how are they differ from the other epidermal cells? Here a chloroplast will be present in these cells. So this is about epidermal cells. Now let us discuss about its function.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes or missing classes for rain, for rally and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
Now what are the functions of epidermal cells? So the epidermal cells protects underlying cells. As earlier we have discussed that it is a protective tissue or protective covering of the plant which protects the plant from other cells. As if you see the section of the plant, there are different kinds of tissues and cells are present. So it protects all the underlying cells of the plant. Next, the waxy cuticle prevents the loss of moisture. Now earlier we have discussed about that cuticle that secretes a cutin. So it is a waxy kind of appearance which protects the plant from various diseases. Other than this, it also helps to loss of moisture or water from the plant. So it protects the actually plant from loss of water because it has waxy appearance. So because of that, transpiration cannot take place very fast. Other than this, stomata of leaves and stems allow gaseous exchange to take place. Whereas we have discussed about the stomatal cells which are present in leaves and stems. So here we have also seen that here, as if you talk about epidermal cells, other part of the plant, their chloroplast will be absent. But in stomatal cells, as they are bounded by the guard cells, they have chloroplast also present. So what is the role of this? As these pores are actually help to absorb the gases from the atmosphere or in the exchange of gases from the atmosphere from carbon dioxide and oxygen. Why? Because it is very important for the process of photosynthesis, that is a food making process in plant in which these stomata absorbs the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and helps to make the food making process. Other than this, they are also responsible for the exchange of gases for the respiration. So what we can say that stomata of leaves and stems allows gaseous exchange to take place for the very important process, that is a food making process, photosynthesis and respiration. Other than this, epidermal cells of root hairs absorb water and dissolve ions from the soil. So other than this, if you see the epidermal cells of roots, so they have lot of hairs present on root. So what is its role? Actually it increases the surface area of the plant root. Why it is important? Why? So that the roots can absorb more water along with minerals for the transportation to the plant. Why? Because it is very important. Water and minerals are very important nutrients for the plants. Other than this, the transparent epidermal cells allow sunlight for photosynthesis to pass through the chloroplast in the mesophyll tissues. Other than this, there are some epidermal tissue cells are very transparent. So what is their role? Actually they as their chloroplasts are also present. So in the presence of chlorophyll, they absorb the sunlight. So these transparent epidermal cells help to absorb the sunlight from to the plant, and it again reaches to the mesophyll tissues. So these are the few functions of epidermal cells. As if you see that it is a protective tissue or protective covering, as in our body there is a skin, so in plants these are the epidermal cells. And if you see the structure of the epidermal cells, so here if I talk about epidermal cells, so intercellular spaces, there will be no intercellular space other than this, so that they can protect the plant very easily. Other than this, if you see the structure, so chloroplast will be absent in epidermal cells. But if I talk about stomatal cell, so they are bounded with the guard cells and they have a chloroplast. Other than this, they are also found on the root surface, so that they can absorb the surface, so that they increase the surface area for the absorption of mineral and water from the soil. There are transparent epidermal cell. So what is their function? Actually they absorb the sunlight and from chloroplast and passes into the mesophyll tissues. So these are the few functions of epidermal cells. So here we are discussed about the another simple permanent tissue, that was the epidermal cells. Now what are the functions of epidermal cells? So the epidermal cells protects underlying cells. As earlier we have discussed that it is a protective tissue or protective covering of the plant, which protects the plant from other cells. As if you see the section of the plant, there are different kinds of tissues and cells are present. So it protects all the underlying cells of the plant. Next, the waxy cuticle prevents the loss of moisture. Now earlier we have discussed about that cuticle that secretes a cutin. So it is a waxy kind of appearance which protects the plant from various diseases. Other than this, it also helps to loss of moisture or water from the plant. So it protects the actually plant from loss of water because it has waxy appearance. So because of that, transpiration cannot take place very fast. Other than this, stomata of leaves and stems allow gaseous exchange to take place. Whereas we have discussed about the stomatal cells which are present in leaves and stems. So here we have also seen that here, as if you talk about epidermal cells, other part of the plant, their chloroplast will be absent. But in stomatal cells, as they are bounded by the guard cells, they have chloroplast also present. So what is the role of this? As these pores are actually help to absorb the gases from the atmosphere, or in the exchange of gases from the atmosphere from carbon dioxide and oxygen. Why? Because it is very important for the process of photosynthesis, that is a food making process in plant, in which these stomata absorbs the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and helps to make the food making process. Other than this, they are also responsible for the exchange of gases for the respiration. So what we can say, that stomata of leaves and stems allows gaseous exchange to take place for the very important process, that is a food making process, photosynthesis and respiration. Other than this, epidermal cells of root hairs absorb water and dissolve ions from the soil. So other than this, if you see the epidermal cells of roots, so they have lot of hairs present on root. So what is its role? Actually it increases the surface area of the plant root. Why it is important? Why? So that the roots can absorb more water along with minerals for the transportation to the plant. Why? Because it is very important. Water and minerals are very important nutrients for the plants. Other than this, the transparent epidermal cells allow sunlight for photosynthesis to pass through the chloroplast in the mesophyll tissues. Other than this, there are some epidermal tissue cells are very transparent. So what is their role? Actually they as their chloroplasts are also present. So in the presence of chlorophyll, they absorb the sunlight. So these transparent epidermal cells help to absorb the sunlight from to the plant, and it again reaches to the mesophyll tissues. So these are the few functions of epidermal cells. As if you see that it is a protective tissue or protective covering, as in our body there is a skin, so in plants these are the epidermal cells. And if you see the structure of the epidermal cells, so here if I talk about epidermal cells, so intercellular spaces, there will be no intercellular space other than this, so that they can protect the plant very easily. Other than this, if you see the structure, so chloroplast will be absent in epidermal cells, but if I talk about stomatal cell, so they are bounded with the guard cells and they have a chloroplast. Other than this, they are also found on the root surface, so that they can absorb the surface, so that they increase the surface area for the absorption of mineral and water from the soil. There are transparent epidermal cell. So what is their function? Actually they absorb the sunlight and from chloroplast and passes into the mesophyll tissues. So these are the few functions of epidermal cells. So here we are discussed about the another simple permanent tissue, that was the epidermal cells.